remind the applicant about the provisions in the scenic overlay, not to allow clear cutting. And the other thing, I forget what it is, but there's two things. So we just need to add to the language to remind the applicant to refer to the scenic overlay district section so-and-so, and then quote the language. That's what I meant to do.
Yeah, okay. Well,
And
can we?
then my main question is on page 14 about
Okay.
additional antennae that are not part of the tower being applied for.
Yeah. Well, let me do kind of one thing at a time here. Well, I mean, one approach, since that's my entire goal for this meeting, is that we kind of agree on how this is going to look. One approach is I could share my screen and we could look at each of my comments, and you could say whether whether yes or no you want to include it, and then we'll have a final answer. Page numbers. Well, in fact, when this shows up, and if I can, I will share my screen. Oh, Connor is joining. Yay! So,
Yes, hello. Sorry about that. And
hey, welcome. So we can officially start here. So this is perfect. So I will kick off the meeting, and I'll call it 6:35. Okay, so why don't we'll go through the minutes in the agenda. I did send the minutes, but it was only like an hour and a half ago. And what's that? Oh, so I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Go to Dr. Neil Schmoller.
I'm sorry, not sure if you're talking to us or.
No, I'm talking to my wife. I'm through.
Okay. Okay. Well, she's a very nice wife. So.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, that indeed. So I'm looking for, but there we go. Whoops. I'm pulling up everything I need here. Reference agenda, minutes, which I had everything open. Okay. I think that what I did was, nope. Okay, hang on a sec. Close that. I had so many things open. Let me try again here. I had everything open. Oh, I have the minutes and the agenda. Let me try again. I think something is not where it should be. Zoning. There we go. I don't know where it went, but I found it. So, so I will share my screen. Oops, come on now. All right. And we'll, just in case you didn't see the things yet. I clicked on share. There we go. Okay. So I am screen sharing. So the first thing we'll look at is the agenda. And I had it up a second. There we go. Okay. So I always like to approve the agenda. So the plan for the agenda today, open the meeting, which you just did, adopt the agenda, which we're doing, approve the minutes from the 11th. And the main topic I want to do today was assess if the telecommunications zoning changes, the document Ed had is ready to send to the town board. So that's the only really topic that I had on for today. Future meeting plans, because we decided the last meeting that we wanted to put housing ahead of scenic overlay. If Connor, if you have anything scenic overlay you want to share, certainly you can do it. But I put things in the order that we agreed to last time, that after the telecommunications, we would hop on the aquifer because we've already got all the documents for that. And that February 8th, the hope is that everybody will have reviewed the documents I sent out 2 weeks ago, so we can have a discussion about aquifer. And those are the 3 files. So that's scheduled for next time we meet. And then jump on housing. People wanted to jump on housing as soon as possible. So depending on how the aquifer discussion goes on February 8th, we can either jump on housing on February 22nd or March 8th. But I put in this agenda document my notes from where we were. Where we left off on housing was we had Kirk Ritchie and Susan Goldman joined us in June of last year, and they shared some documents which I sent out in an email on July 13th. So we'll figure out on February 8th if we're talking about housing at the next meeting or the first March meeting. But homework people can do to get themselves up to speed with that is reread the documents sent when Kirk and Susan came to join us. And then Ed recommended we Google the Daily Freeman. There was a workforce housing article. And then the other note is we might want to invite Pat Ryan and March Gallagher. So we can put housing on the agenda. I've got some homework people can do to kind of refresh where we left off. And then we agreed last time scenic overlay would come after housing. I'm doing whatever the group wants to do, but this is what I heard last week is swap the order.
That is what we discussed. What I'm wondering, I don't think I didn't see it if it came in, but we had also discussed percolating back to the surface whatever materials the housing committee had sent to us already. I am usually able to find that stuff pretty quick, but I've poured over my emails and I can't find any housing materials.
So did you look for, if you do it by date, July 13th is when I sent out the materials. So if you look for July 13th in particular, that's an email that I sent. And I also have the YouTube link that that Ashley always provides. So I have the YouTube link for that meeting as well. If you can't find it by date, then I can re-pull it and send it again.
So I do see emails about housing. Bear with me one second. So this is just zoning agenda documents, and then
well, look for July 13th.
I've got three. The thing is, I've got 3 emails from that day in regards to this board, and none of them seem to have the material in there.
Well, this one says, okay, this one says housing committee documents, 3 attachments. The subject is forward housing committee documents, 3 attachments.
Okay, I don't have that.
Okay, I will resend.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. Well, just like you sent me the one Ken sent, which Ken knew he sent it to me, and we could see right in your email that he certainly did, but I didn't have it. So, and I know I didn't delete it, but in any event, I get it.
There's a hole in the internet out there where those 2 documents are starting a new life together.
Hey, there you go. I hope they're happy. Water and housing, they'll be a happy couple. So yeah, there you go. Housing doc. Okay, I will resend the housing document, the housing email. Okay, I will resend. Thank you for checking. And then, so then we don't know yet when we'll discuss scenic overlay the next time. Although anytime you have stuff to share, certainly, Connor, if you have stuff to share, certainly go for it. And then the other stuff that we have down there, we have the Hamlet area ready to discuss, but that's lower on the list. And then we can check out the other stuff. So this is the future meeting plans. Is the next time we meet, it'll be aquifer, because we're hoping to get the telecommunications done today. So that's and of course adjourn. So that's our agenda. Does anybody want to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. I will say second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yay.
Aye.
Yay. We're good. Okay. The minutes wind up being a little lengthy, but I'll pull them up and we can. Again, I sent them, just like an hour and a half ago, so you probably didn't see it yet. So our minutes, open the meeting, adopt the agenda, approve the minutes. The telecommunications work, I talk in the minutes about Steve Romine hiring Steve Campanelli, a few notes about a small wireless facility, and we worked on the next steps together in the last meeting. So the hope is that by today, I know I gave my feedback to Ed. I don't know if, Connor, if you have feedback. I don't know if Jeff has feedback. But I feel very comfortable with the document. I had a few tweaks, but the body of it, I thought the bulk of it was, was very good. So, except for understanding what to do with the tweaks I had. And then we're going to, once we all agree, goes to the town board, who would send it to Association of Towns, Dennis Doyle, planning board. Give Steve Romine a pre-public hearing copy at that time, and it can go to the attorneys, figure out what else we need, hearings and law. So we know our next steps for that. Aquifer, I sent the email out with all the parts, and we'll talk about that at our next meeting. Scenic overlay, I had the meeting with Bill McKenna. Connor had contacted the Association of Towns lawyer, and then Connor had an update about the first aerial photograph. And then we had discussion about housing and putting housing in a different order. So the same thing that I said that you just saw on the agenda is similar information about what information we need to do to look at to get ourselves prepared for that first housing discussion. And then we'll assess next time, are we going to begin housing in February or in March? And then the future meetings is pretty much what we just looked at. Did you want to spend more time looking at the minutes, or are we?
I think they look good.
Okay, yay. You making a motion to approve?
Yes.
Yay. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yay. Okay. All righty. Thank you. So, whoops. Let me go. Close. Okay. So back to the agenda. So the main thing, again, the only real topic today, unless people have other, although I did see Ed's email that he sent about a proposal for the town board. But so Ed, what I'd like to do is just bring up my marked up copy of your document and just go through it and know what you liked and what you didn't like. And if anybody else has any changes to make too, then we'll all be on the same page. I'll know what you're going to adopt. And just because I say you should do something doesn't mean that you need to do it. But I was hoping we could just go through the document and I would know what you decided to include or not. Because when you're telling me page 45, my document doesn't seem to have a page 45.
Well, the final page, but the first, oh, you have a different, you reduced the file size, the font size?
Well, I did for the one that I read hard copy, but to make my markups, I used the copy that you sent. But mine shows that
I use the same font that is on the town board website for the zoning law, so.
Right. Well, so I just wanted to page through, and if we can look at these one at a time. All I did, so on, and this show, because I have 43 pages, I show 43 pages. Okay. So page 3 of 43 for me, I just changed the word inshore to ensure. But yeah, because inshore means if something bad happens, you get money for it, and ensure means you're going to make sure it doesn't happen. So
okay, sure.
What's that? So ensure and
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
You took out the word aesthetic.
You know what I did? I think that I added it because if it was in blue, and I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, because I think I just
the federal communications law states that you can't legislate aesthetics.
I see.
But we can try now, because I noticed in a number of zoning laws that there were, at least in the preambles of telecommunications sections, they use the word aesthetic a lot. So I think the dam has been broken, so it's probably okay to put the word aesthetic in.
Well, the reason why, and this is really more of a typo, I would say, because the document I was reading said, don't impose adverse impacts on aesthetic impact.
Oh, yeah.
And I just took out the word impact was there twice. I just took it out.
Yeah. Okay, so, that's good.
So instead of saying adverse impacts, okay.
No problem with that.
Okay, all right. So we're going to, and these are all going to go pretty quickly because I didn't do anything earth shattering. I did add here the words I think this here,
and health impacts.
right, because I came right out, because I think you talked, yeah, I did put in health impact there, so, okay,
But
okay.
you can't,
I don't know if it really matters, but you know, I just
I don't
wanted to
think
point
you
out
can put in
aesthetic
health.
occurs.
I
Sorry?
don't think you can add health. The Federal Communications Act prevents zoning regulations from controlling towers and wireless facilities based on adverse health effects.
Oh, so we have to take that out. They don't allow that.
I would say you need to take that out.
Okay, and Connor, what were you going to say?
It's really, really minor, but aesthetic, the word comes up several times in the document, and all the other times it's spelled AE. I don't know. There's two correct ways to spell it. I just wanted to
Okay.
put
AES. Okay, AES. So I'll go fix the other one. AES. AES. THE.
that says EAS, but knock that A over and we're cooking.
There, like that.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. I had searched it before, and I know it occurred earlier in the document with an A, and I thought, man, don't want the
No.
grammar police after us.
Well, yeah, might as well clean it up. Okay, so anyway, we're all agreed. I'll take out the and health because we don't believe that's legal. Okay, so that's cool because now my little change marker went away, so that's cool. I'm looking for the red change bars here. All I did here was I got your one, your one here was stuck up here and I just moved it down. So I didn't change any words here. I just put the one there. And then this one, I just had, for some reason, you had the T and the was capitalized. So I just made it small. So that's pretty small. Okay. So and every now and then, Ed, you disappear. So.
There is on this one.
Okay, so Ed, I'm not sure if you're there with us. We're kind of waiting till Ed comes back. So my boyfriend had a funny cartoon he showed me the other day that it showed a seance, the old-fashioned seance. They say these meetings are like an old-fashioned seance. Where you say, "Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me?" So anyway, we're like a seance.
Our tablets are the Ouija boards.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. So Ed, you're back with us. I don't know if you heard me, Ed, but what I did say up here was all I did. All I did for this one was the one was stuck up here, but I put it down there.
Well, I noticed that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, and all I did with this one here was the and the town was capitalized, the T was capitalized. I just made it small. So that was very minor. This one here, as I read down through this list of stuff, and let me scroll up a little bit. Written documentation, blah, blah, demonstrate, already providing. All right. Yeah, the documentation which facility site listed shall include. Now, I didn't see anything about how close it can be to a residence in this section, but maybe. So I didn't know whether we wanted to have a sentence that was included that talked about how close a small wireless antenna can be to a residence.
Well, there'll be, I mean, if we allow them, they'll be on the sides of buildings, on the roofs of buildings, on street posts by buildings, on fences by buildings, on trees, wherever they can get away with building a 5G tower, antennae, I mean. But this is the first section of this is not to do with small wireless facilities yet, right? What page?
Well, no, oh, you know what? Oh, there you go. You are correct about that. We're still in the large, and this is the preface.
Yes.
But even with the large, is there a limit to how close they can be to a residence?
Well, you have to think of language, and you need to go, I would have to go to other zoning laws. I have a big collection of zoning laws and see what other towns and cities do about the minimum distance between a large tower and a residence. I don't know what it says.
Well, it may be, maybe it's not needed. I could just take that out because I didn't want to
I'd
be
say
making,
take it out because
okay.
the
And I
planning
didn't,
board, the contiguous property owners will have to be notified of any
Mhm.
hearing regarding a big tower.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, okay. So that's good. I'm just flipping through my pages here and finding, yeah. So for some reason that still shows a change bar, but there's actually no change. The other change bars went away when I
okay.
moved stuff. Um, Let me just put a space in there and see. Well, there is actually no change there.
Okay.
Okay. And that's page 7, there's not really a change. Okay. And
Page 14. Oh, here.
yeah, I just added the word map. You say a recent survey of the tower at a scale not smaller. I just added the word map.
That's probably okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And I was just reading this, and maybe this doesn't need to be there, but
This
is
is page 14.
it's page 14 of my
Yes.
doc.
Yes. So that's the whole point. This is in the large,
Correct.
so I don't think we have to worry about additional antennae. It's a big cell tower. And
Okay.
it's
Okay.
part of the site plan, it's part of the plannings sent by the vendor. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. So here's another page that has a bar where there's nothing really to change. So we're good there. I'm looking for the red bars.
Well, there's one on page 35. There's a bunch of errors.
Okay. Well, what I did on that page, but I'm just going one page at a time. Yeah, I have another inshore
Oh,
versus
sure, yeah, sure.
yeah, inshore
I
versus
probably
inshore.
cobbled this from a town in California, so it's not my spelling. It's
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. So, okay. And then this one down here, I just added the word small. The town is adding this small wireless telecommunications facilities application permit process because the word small was not there, but I thought the word small belonged. Oh, I see we kind of lost Ed again. Okay. So Ed, are you okay with adding the word small here? The town is adding this small
Well,
wireless.
no, because we're in the small wireless telecommunication section. So yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Because so I just added the word small to clarify that's where we are. Okay. Oh, and this is, and I was just fixing grammar in some of these things. Yeah, I think this was a period space with a capital A for and, but then this was really a phrase, not a whole sentence, standalone sentence. I just changed the grammar.
Okay, I don't mind it.
Yeah, okay. And here's another case where all I did is I dragged the one was smacked up here. I just dragged it down.
Okay.
Okay. And this one, I changed the wording there. I added the words provided by. The wording was, I thought it wasn't
all
totally.
right. That's fine.
That's fine. Okay. Because the wording was a little different, but I thought that was.
No, it's fine.
Okay. I added the word health here in balancing these goals, town, blah, 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 blah. I know you have safety, but I think health
you can't use the word health.
Okay, out it comes. Okay.
I would love to, but the federal law is pretty clear on this.
Okay. Okay. So what I did here is I just, yeah, this is what says 32 on mine.
Yeah.
What I did is it was a big glob of stuff.
Mhm.
And I didn't change words. I just rearranged it is all I did. You had permit requirements, and then this A, B, and C were all glommed together in a big paragraph.
Yes,
And
that's
I cut, and I made it A, I made it B, I made it C, and then
right.
and then D, this applications was kind of, D was behind B, except it was all glommed together in a paragraph. And I just thought it would be clearer to
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
break it out.
planning board is,
What was that, Ed?
yeah.
It's okay. So I did not change any words. I just
No, I
organized it.
went through it. It looks pretty good.
Oh, yay. Okay. Oh, and I think there are some places where you said city
Oh,
rather
yeah,
than town.
Yeah, so
Okay.
town, it all has to be town.
Right. So where I saw city, I made it, I did make it town. Um,
All right, now here's page 35. Yeah. So planning board.
okay. So because it said in a couple
Woodstock
places.
is spelled wrong. So
Okay. Yeah, there you go. We'll fix that too. Okay. All right. Whoops. Okay. So the Woodstock, you did mean planning board. So I'm gonna. Okay. And I'll just make this blue because whenever I'm just trying to show you where I made changes. All right. So the Woodstock planning board may deny without prejudice. And I added the words, and maybe I shouldn't have here, protecting aesthetic and or public health or safety. I didn't add the word health here. But anyway,
it's
I did add.
probably okay. Let them sue, but it's probably okay.
Okay. So the word I added was aesthetic.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let me go. Yeah. Okay. And here again, we have Zoning
Yes,
Board of Appeals, and I'll
yes,
say
planning
Woodstock.
board. Yeah, then you can delete one of these.
Yeah.
You
Well, let
need
me
to-
do.
you
Yeah.
need-
Let me do one thing at a time here.
Hey, Ed,
Yeah,
wondering, under this part B, if it needs to be stated or if it's something that you already know is protected by the telecommunications bill, for the planning board to deny an application based on failed seeker or tweaker requirements.
stale. Did you
I'm
say?
sorry?
Did you say stale seeker?
Failed.
Failed.
Like, yeah.
Um,
Specifically, I was thinking tweaker because I wasn't sure if a lot of the time, if our town has stricter environmental codes than other, tweaker is stronger than seeker in a lot of ways.
yeah, town can pass an environmental law that's stronger than the state law, sure.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if that
This
was
should
something.
refer to it. I haven't thought of it, but I'll think of it.
All right, yeah, hey, just wanted to put it out there for you.
Because you need to figure out where something fits, and you have to fit it legally into the language. I'll know. Why don't you dictate to me what it is that you want to have considered?
Well, I mean, it's just a sort of question I'm posing, which is, can we, under a environmental assessment process, deem a wireless facility ineligible to be located at certain places by virtue of it failing to pass seeker or tweaker?
Oh,
All right,
I think
all
that
all
is
right,
it.
I've got it written down. I'll look at it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Okay. So
Laura.
I'm moving up. So I did
Wait
erase the
a second,
duplicate.
Laura, wait a second, before you move up.
Hi.
Hi, hey,
Welcome.
scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, just a sec. I just marking you here. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
I've been here for a while, been listening in.
Okay. So how far up do you want me to go?
So that's far, that's good. Let's stop. Notice that you're in B, it's paren, open paren, I, close paren. In C, it's I dots, little I dots.
Ah.
Just to be hobgoblin of consistency or whatever it is, just to be consistent. Pick one or
Well,
the other.
we could run through the whole document and look for those. Ed, do you care which it is? Do you want
I
those
don't
in print?
care, as long as it's consistent.
So Jeff, which do you like better?
To me, the parentheses are more noticeable,
Clear.
easier
Okay.
to see, the more clear.
Okay. Well, I'll certainly change it here. It could be tricky to get it through the whole document, but I will certainly change it here. Because we're not going through my changes from my review is
Right.
what we're doing. So, and I'm putting things in blue that I've changed.
In the event that the planning board denies, not the director.
Oh, okay. Didn't know who the director was. Gotcha. All right. So I will change
Just
that.
write Connor Wink.
Yeah. Instead of planning board, we'll just say Connor Wayne.
If Connor Wink,
Happy lies the.
I am on the Zoom here. It's
Okay.
okay.
So in the event that was that planning board, okay, because that was my next question. I didn't know what a director was.
You can just come around. You can't. Just go here.
Okay. Okay.
and I stuck
So, and
in
I'm-
this ability of the town of Woodstock to do a
Yeah.
radiation testing.
I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
making a note, Ed. So what were you looking at?
Nothing. I'm just commenting on I stuck in this random testing for RF compliance, which some towns have enacted in their zoning law. I think it's
Mhm.
useful. Because if you have a weird facility that's causing a lot of headaches, you can have it tested.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Well, I thought that was a good idea. Well, yeah. Okay. And then this one, all I did is I dragged the one was kind of smacked up here. I
Yeah,
just dragged
yeah.
the one down where it belonged.
Okay.
And I think we're almost done with.
No, the thing about it is the last section.
Oh, right. I didn't know where that was because I noticed that we saw.
Right, the need to have language here. It's a reminder. It's saying, it could say applicants should refer to the scenic overlay section of the Woodstock zoning law.
Oh, okay. So we're
Following
not.
regulations.
Well, we should probably look up and put a number in.
Yes, I know that.
Okay. All right.
That's what has to happen here. It's a reference to, to make it, to remind
Okay.
the tower as small wireless facility applicant that the scenic overlay regulations don't allow clear cutting or a personal wireless service facility in the scenic overlay. Because they might not know that, you know.
Okay. So, all right. So that's it for my comment. So,
Well,
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I think in this section you could put a distance from residential home.
Oh, yeah. I thought, did I see that there? I might have seen something about that.
For what? Distance from residential home for what?
For the small
Well,
wireless.
For a
For the
5.
small wireless.
Huh?
For the small wireless. You know, the repeaters.
Yes. Okay, repeaters are different than antennae for a small wireless facility.
Well, I think something of that sort ought to be in there because if you're gonna have a 5G, they put them in front of your house on a pole.
Well, you see that Elon Musk yesterday, his SpaceX company, had put up 150 satellites in the satellite orbit to facilitate 5G all over.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, but it's not right next to your head or your kid's head.
yeah, so it's that's under the previous Federal Communications Committee.
So,
But
so is there anything, Ed, so you're saying that there's nothing we can put in there about distance from a home?
that would be at the beginning, toward the beginning of the small wireless facility language. You could, you can prohibit 5G antennae from historic districts such as the downtown Hamlet Preservation District,
Right.
or the scenic overlay, but you can't
do it in residential.
blanketly prevent 5G in every zoning district. You can't
Well,
say,
well, what I'm saying is you don't prohibit it, you just make the distances like 150 feet, say.
that's between individual antennae.
Right.
But I think I brought that up at the beginning of the small wireless facility section. I said, do we want language banning, setting a minimum distance between 5G, between antennae, small wireless facility antennae in districts, and then you list the districts, and
Yeah, I did see, I did think I saw a listing of districts. I'm trying to find it, but I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
I
I
didn't
saw
put
it.
a list of districts. I brought it up as a question for the group to decide. Do we want to have?
For some reason, I remember when we were doing the Campanelli roundtable, we'll call it, that came up, and they weren't actually able to do anything about it. I could be wrong, but I remember someone gave an example. There was one practically like right outside this little girl's window, and I think they were able to get rid of it, but the point was that they weren't able to get rid of it because it was too close or an aesthetic or health thing. It was something specific to her. So I just want to put that out there. I feel like I've heard this come up.
Well, no, I think we can put language at the beginning of the small wireless facilities section.
I see it.
Stating the minimum distance between antennae allowed in the small wireless facility system. And I think David and I came up with 500 feet. I forget, because we were talking about different feet. Is it 250? Is it 500? We may have decided on 500.
Well, if it does work, 500 seems like a reasonable number because, I don't know, I mean, at least then I feel like it's not just every few, noticeable paces they'll be there. But even so, the only way I could see that going wrong is if it's like, if they need to be 250 feet just to work or whatever it is, because I know these things function much more like Wi-Fi than they do like traditional cell service. So the range on the towers is not going to be very strong.
It's not on a tower. These are going to come. This 5G is going to come down from Elon Musk's satellites.
Oh, I mean on not the tower. What I mean is the individual 5G antennae is what I should have said.
Yeah.
The transmission distance wirelessly from those towers is not going to be very strong. And the only thing the only way I could see that being a problem is if they come back and say, well, they need to be 200 feet, whatever it is, away from each other or whatever.
Or you need on that section, final section of what we've done, you need to say this yeah, need to look up section, this, yes. It has to refer specifically to the Woodstock zoning law, section 260 dash whatever it is, 63 or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm at 64 right now. Or you said 63? Or the repeaters? Here we, was that what we were
But
talking
65
about?
Oh, no,
is
this is to
repeaters.
refer the whole issue of small wireless facilities to refer to the scenic overlay section, which does not allow commercial clear cutting or personal wireless facility.
Well, so are you saying that we need to add something, or you're just referencing the fact,
You have to reference
you're
this.
just referencing it's already there? Okay.
This is a courtesy to the applicant.
Oh, so
We're saying for information about small wireless facilities in the scenic overlay section, blah, blah, refer to see.
right. Okay. So now let me ask. So a minute ago we were talking about 500 feet, and I was just looking in my hard copy to see if I could find anything talking about 500 feet, and I didn't think I saw anything. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go see if I can do a find. Because I think I thought I heard you say something about how you.
Well, here's something that's 1,000 feet.
Yes.
Oh, there, your proposed repeater site layout, grading utilities at a scale, and this is just showing. This is
That's for the map.
That's in a map, right? So this
No,
isn't
it's
saying you have to have.
We just ran through it. It's I see we decided on 1,000 feet, but
Oh, okay.
when this goes to the Association of Towns attorney, you know, they'll
There you go. Okay,
1,000 feet from another antenna.
there you go. Any individual antennae,
Not be
but this.
less than 25 feet.
Well, I think it has to be in the repeater section.
But Ed, if it's on page 13, it's on the large section. So this is not in the small. Yeah. So because I found 1,000, but it's on page 13 of 43. So it's in the large section. It's not in the small section.
Well.
So you might have put it there, but I don't know if you put it where you wanted to.
I'll check.
Right, and here's where it is. Any individual antenna should not be located less than 1,000 feet from another antenna and not constructed less than 25 feet from a state or town roadway. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a comment. Did you want this language in the small?
Listen, something's come up. I have to leave because
Okay.
I have a chance to make an appointment for a COVID shot, and I got to do it before other jerks get in line.
Gotcha. Okay.
Everybody in Woodstock wants this, but I have a relationship with a guy that has a bunch. And my wife just signed up, so I got to sign up for my lifeline.
Hey, I get it. So what I'll do there, I'll say I want to see if anybody else wants stuff. But Ed, I'll send this updated version to you, and I'll let you send me a final because you're the owner. So this will have all the blue marks in it. So okay, Ed, great job, excellent job, Ed. Thank you. And I'll just see if anybody else has more to add.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. So we just went through here all of my comments. Did anybody have anything else that you wanted to incorporate? Because my thought is I'll send this to Ed and then we're done in terms of we're ready to send it to the next step, which is send it to the town board officially, unless anybody else has any changes you want to make.
Well, a change that I had mentioned still in the small antennae, the repeaters, I still think that in the residential section, they should be not banned, but they should have a larger distance in the residential section.
Right. I'll add that as a question. I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm going to so regulations requiring small. File requirements. I'm gonna add it right here. Should a requirement, a minimum 2A. And I'll fix this here. Well, okay, I agree with you. If we can add it, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Is there anything else that we want to add to the document? Because I think now, if anybody else has comments to add, I'll put them in blue, and I'm going to resend this to Ed and have him finalize the document. Otherwise,
I just wanted to ask what you said before. I thought the kind of order of operations here was to send it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we went both ways at one point with this, but that we were going to send it to the Association of Towns at some point for review, and Campanelli. I just don't remember who comes first.
right.
Why we're gonna send it to Campanelli?
Well,
I thought they,
I have it documented. I have it it may be too tiny for you guys to read. I can read it. I don't know if you can see it. What we agreed last time, next steps was we would all complete our review and give Ed his feedback, Ed our feedback by today, which we've pretty much done. And that then, when Ed, gives me a final document, then I will send it to the town board. We're expecting the town board to send it to the Association of Towns, Dennis Doyle from the County Planning Board, and the Woodstock Planning Board. And that when it comes back from that, before it goes to public hearing, we'll give it to Steve Romine. So the clear point is the town is not paying for Campanelli. Steve Romine off to the side has managed to hire Steve Campanelli.
Yeah.
We're going to give Steve Romine a copy of the document. What he does with it, for example, give it to Steve Campanelli, is up to him. But the town's not going to.
Andrew, just for the others, just I couldn't notice Andrew Campanelli, right?
Andrew, oh, thank you, Andrew Campanelli. Thank you. But the key point is
the only question I have for that, because all this makes sense to me. I see it now laid out. Is I'm not saying you wouldn't, but is there a reason we're not sending it to the Association of Towns before the town board? I mean, if they're just going to do it anyway, what's the?
Well, I can, if you'd like, I can confirm with Bill McKenna, Supervisor McKenna. I can confirm with Supervisor McKenna the correct steps, but maybe I should do that. Maybe I should confirm. Maybe I'll review this order of events with Bill, and I'll ask him to confirm that he agrees.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be nice, just to be sure, because I'd hate for it to get kind of, not that I don't have faith in everyone, but steps sometimes get missed, and this seems like a good schedule of adherence. It's just as long as everyone knows that's what's expected.
Right, and it makes sense. Yeah, I agree. It's yeah. I don't know why we thought that was the right thing, but I think you're right. Having the supervisor in the loop in the boat with us, rowing the same direction, is a very smart idea. So
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, excellent point. Any other comments anybody has about anything here? So just to review where we're going here, I think we're finished just to the future meeting plans. And this is where we left off is, so this is what we did today is we were finalizing Ed's document. I'll send him this copy that I've just marked up again. And then the plan is next time we meet, which is in 2 weeks, we're going to review the aquifer files. 2 weeks ago, I sent an email that had 3 files in it. So the idea is we're going to jump on the aquifer because it's, I think, a Steve Winkley document. There's a map. And then there's the aquifer law that was sent around, and we want to, as a zoning revision committee, make our recommendation on that aquifer law. So that'll be a discussion for February 8th. We said we want to jump on housing as soon as possible. It made sense to do the aquifer. It made sense to me anyway, because we have the documentation, and water's important. So is housing, but water's important. So let's jump on aquifer because you got it all primed and ready to go. So then on February 8th, we'll decide, do we need 2 meetings to talk about aquifer, or can we do it in just one? And then we'll figure out when we're talking about housing, but then we'll talk about housing, very, very soon, either a month from now, either 4 weeks from now, or the meeting after that. And as I put it in the agenda document as well as the minutes, I put the link, and I'm going to resend this email, because 2 things about housing when we get to it is I sent an email on July 13th, but sometimes the email system eats emails, and Connor didn't see it. So I just like I didn't see the one that Ken sent. We all know Ken sent it to me. Gosh, I don't know where it went, but I didn't have it. So I'm going to resend the 7/13 email. It has 3 attachments to it, and it's the stuff housing came to talk to us about. And the YouTube link for that meeting is right here. So it's in the minutes I sent out today, and it's also in the agenda document that I sent out today. So when we get to talking about housing, if you want to refresh yourself by listening to our meeting back from June 22nd, you can, but we can just pick up by reading the documents. So anyway, that's some homework that we can do. And then Jeff's idea, which is great. Maybe we want to invite Pat Ryan and March Gallagher. I think it came from Jeff, because they're talking about stuff for Ulster County for housing. And then Ed recommended we Google the Daily Freeman. So anyway, when we pick up housing, we've got some homework we can all do. But my plan, unless anybody disagrees, is we're going to jump on water, because we've been talking about that as a hot item for a long time. Jump on water because all the documentation's together, and then jump on housing. And I think we're not going to spend as much time on water as we spend on telecommunications. I think water is going to be a meeting or 2, and then we'll be embracing housing.
Well, on the water one, you're going to have zoning provisions, to protect the water sources. So I think that maybe Ed should look into that for the zone, on the aquifer thing, the zoning for the aquifer.
Right, but we'll talk about the documents I sent out, and then we'll figure out what that is. But are you saying, are you recommending a different order to approach things, or are you still okay with approaching it that we do aquifer next?
I think aquifer should be next, but I'm saying that while we're doing that, maybe we should look at the zoning provisions for the aquifer.
Right. And let me just go action plan. Okay. So that's a good point. So we had called out zoning law 26034 and 26035 regarding the aquifer. So that's what I had in my notes that we had called out before. So I'll add that to my notes for aquifer. So that's a very good point. Aquifer also ref 26034 and 26035. Okay, good, excellent point.
Okay, actually it says there on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking right here, right. I had it there. Because this is a different document that I was putting a lot of detail in there, and I haven't been sending this one out, but yeah, I still reference this every now and then.
Okay.
So cool. Anything else we wanted to cover on this call?
So can we talk about housing just a little bit to get a sense of what it is that we want to think about and talk about, and just to kind of lay some groundwork to what we want to do?
Once I see what's on, oh, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
No, go ahead, Connor, you go.
once I see what's in their materials, I imagine that's where a lot of my jump off questions are going to be. You know, I'm in a couple of message boards and groups on Facebook and stuff with March and Guy from Rupco, talking about affordable housing initiatives and gentrification and all types of issues that play into this. And, you know, I want to see that we're not, one thing I want to see is that we're not just putting all our eggs in one basket when it comes to home sharing, because that's the only conversation that I've really heard about coming out of the housing committee and the one the survey is based on. And not that that's a bad idea, but I also want to be talking about, you know, again, looking at laws to allow, you know, regular long-term rentals in tandem with short-term rentals, so one doesn't box out the other. Looking into cluster housing and tiny home development. Looking into, you know, they're talking about, one thing Mark is, I imagine, going to talk about if she comes here is the initiative to repurpose derelict malls across the U.S. as affordable housing. And a lot of people are talking about the Xena School and what could be done with that. I mean, it's just a, I was going to say a bad word, but it's a shame that that building is going to waste every year that nothing is done with it. It's going to get harder and harder to reclaim and make something out of. So, you know, there's a lot that I haven't heard about yet coming. So I want to facilitate a discussion around all of that, depending on what I see in these materials.
On those ideas, Connor, a lot of those are not necessarily zoning ideas, right? A lot of those are ideas of how to try to encourage different ways of doing it. One thing that I've thought about in this topic is, you know, if you look at the land that I own 65 acres in Woodstock, and that particular land on Xena Road was once owned by a developer, and we bought it from the developer many, many years ago. And the developer never developed it because he couldn't, because that land is bluestone, basically bluestone right at the surface. Every house having to put a $20,000 above ground sewer or septic in makes it unaffordable. So when you're looking at that kind of a situation, the things that make it undevelopable, we need to look at, right? One of them is, also the other one is the zoning. I think it's an R8. So you can put 8 houses in there, and that's not going to get a whole lot of housing, right? So the zoning itself in Woodstock has been designed in the past to discourage housing. That's just the truth, right? Once you get out of the hamlet, the zones are so large it discourages housing. Plus, once you get out of the hamlet, there are no services. There's no water, there's no septic. And those you need for any kind of dense housing, especially in this area. So it's a complex factor, but it's not just zoning, but it's zoning and services that can make some large parcels available for dense housing. And I think that's one area to look at is not looking at tweaking laws about long-term and short-term, because that's on the edges, frankly, of what the housing situation is going to be here in Woodstock. We need, twice as much housing as we have to make a difference. We're not going to get that by tweaking long-term and short-term laws. We're not going to get that by home share. We need to have things built, and we need to look at what is preventing things from being built in Woodstock. And I think that's part of where we need to take this conversation, is what is preventing large tracts of land from being able to be developed.
Well, I think part of that problem is the topographical reasons. Like sides of mountains, it's like, how you going to build, 50 houses on the side of a mountain? It must be prohibitive to build them to begin with. Then have sewer and water. I mean, how are you going to do that?
Well, I think there's a lot of areas that are not sides of mountains. I mean, my area is land. My area is.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the the problem with that again is what you just said.
Right.
Well, you know, the ground, was it bluestone or whatever it was a hindrance for sewer, you know, for discharge of sewage.
Right.
Yeah. I think if I can jump in for a sec. So I think, well, first of all, I think we're getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves. I think it's good. I appreciate your question, Jeff. What are we thinking of doing? I appreciate the question. I think we're not quite there yet. And by that, I mean, I think a good place for us to start is by reviewing the materials that Kirk Ritchie and Susan Goldman shared with us when they came to visit us back in June. And I think that the next step, you know, I think the first step again is that we review it and we talk amongst ourselves. I think the next step is we invite them in, because there is a housing committee. And Jeff, your points are all excellent, and I appreciate you're being so clear. You're being wonderfully clear in laying out these different considerations. And your point is an excellent point. We're the zoning revision committee, and if we're really going to fix the housing problem, to repeat what I heard you say, if we're going to fix if we as a town of Woodstock will fix the housing problem, it may not be a zoning issue. It's we need a housing, but we have a housing committee, so we really need to be interleaving with them. We're not missioned. We, the zoning revision committee, are not missioned with solving the housing problem. We, the zoning revision committee, are missioned with making sure the zoning law supports a solution to the housing problem. And we have a housing committee that's taking the lead on actually solving the housing problem. So we need to be partnering with them. We couldn't for many months because we had, you know, we had limited, we couldn't just spread ourselves too thin. We'd never get anything done. We focused on telecommunications. We agreed we're going to focus telecommunications, water, and now we've agreed that housing can be the next thing. So I still think that our next steps for housing is we pick a meeting where we've all done our homework and reviewed what Susan and Kirk shared with us. And then we discuss amongst ourselves our thought of zoning implications. And then we're ready to invite Susan and Kirk back in again and say, hey, you've been working on this for another half year since we saw you last. Come on back in. We're ready for you now. We're focused on your stuff as our top priority. Let's now work together. So I don't see, you know, I see the housing committee is really owning the ball to come up with the big answers. And I think everything you're saying, Jeff, is I think you would be excellent. But before, you and Connor and I said we would be like a subgroup of zoning revision to work with housing. It's just that the timing just didn't work out for us to do it yet. But we're getting to the point now in March, we will. So I think a little introspection of ourselves about what they told us 6 months ago and what we think it means for zoning. And then we need to embrace them, invite them back in and say, now we're fully focused on you now. We're fully focused on housing and really then put the gears in motion. So I don't have all the answers, but
Laura, I understand that that's the process that you want to go through, and I understand that that's why you want to go with that process, and I appreciate that. I'm not trying to stop that process and prevent that process. I'm saying that we have control over zoning law. That's all we have control over.
correct.
Right. And if we look at situations that prevent development in Woodstock, there's one clear situation in the zoning law, and that's the size of the district, the size of the that's R8, R5s.
Right.
Unless we're willing to get rid of R8s and R5s, will not solve the problem.
You say unless we
Right.
get rid of it.
Let's get rid of
Okay.
it. Or not, of course, not throughout the entire town, but in parts of the town.
Right.
So the idea is maybe an idea for when we get to that point, because I agree with again, Laura, totally in agreement with you. I do think there's an interesting line of thought here. And so maybe a productive thing to do could be to have a list of all the R8, R5 zones,
Cool.
organized even by size,
Right.
and have a look at what minor and or major tweaks could be made to the laws that govern them, or not even just that really, but even just saying, would this be more valuable as an R8 and R5 given the land that it encompasses, when it could be purposed this way in our conversation about and creating large amounts of affordable housing. Is that more your speed, Jeff?
And that's it. I think we do need to look at that. That's a good way to put it, Connor, and I like the way you put it. You know, clearly it's a difference between R8s and R5s in the scenic overlay and R8s and R5 in an area that's not scenic overlay. Maybe that's one segmentation we need to make is,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not interested in necessarily having our mountain stripped and have them built with houses.
Oh, no.
Right? I don't think anyone is. That would change the town too much. But at the same time, we have a lot of R8s and R5s in the outlying areas that are flat. And
Right.
that's, you know, that could be maybe looked at. Maybe we change those. And yes, it then becomes a bigger issue of how the next steps to take on those. If my property became an R1 instead of an R8, right, I could put 64 houses in there instead of 8. I still wouldn't be able to build there because of the sewage, because of the water. So then it becomes really housing and town board. It's like, do you want to extend services out that far in order to encourage those, you know, those large properties to be able to be developed? And then
Well,
it
the
comes
other
back-
question I had brought up about situations like that was treating it like a campground, you know, places that don't traditionally necessarily have their facilities, water and sewage, hooked up to municipal lines. They have comprehensive systems, but they are independent in that way.
other
And
options.
finding grant money to do that.
And where they're sharing, like you were saying, a campground shares a utility, right? They don't have their own well. There's a well, and they share the well.
Keep in mind
Exactly.
also the proximity to the New York City reservoir. So it can't just be, it's got to be something that's, you know, pretty seriously done. So all those fit together, right? So it's not an easy topic, but I do think even if we focus just on the narrow thing that Connor said, let's look at the R5s, maybe even R3s, and see where they are, and do they need to be that anymore? And, you know, because otherwise, we're not going to solve this with tweaking laws. We have to solve it by a building spree. We can't get a building spree unless there's a place to build.
I think there's truth in all of it. You know, I think we need to really look at every avenue and opportunity. But it's conversations like this one that I want to drive. You know, I feel like, again, I like Laura knows I didn't get the email, so I'm very much looking forward to that and hoping to see it soon. But this is exactly what I was talking about. This is exactly the kind of discussion I'm hoping to see happen here, and especially when the housing committee comes. So
Right.
this is great. I think it's all good.
I think that, and I really appreciate, because we have a lot of innovative thinking going on here. And I think that, but I think I very strongly feel like the ultimate answer is the innovative thinking going on here paired with the innovative thinking going on in the housing committee, because I think that's where solutions are going to come. I think we can't do it in a vacuum because we're not the housing committee, and they can't do it in a vacuum because they're not zoning. I think we're doing innovative thinking, and then we marry those innovative thoughts. I think we're going to get even, you know, things will evolve. Yeah.
Absolutely. When they come back to us, you know, it's just going to be a continuing and a strengthening and a place of, you know, gained clarity, because
Yeah.
having these discussions among ourselves, you know, again, I understand, and I'm not trying to say anything. It's just, you know, I know we're here to talk about zoning, but at the same time, we are blessed in many ways to be a group of concerned citizens sharing the same goal who happen to all be available at the same time. And I think we
Yeah.
should not be afraid to step outside the boundaries of our purview for the purpose, not again of taking direct action on them, but of gaming out these situations that are put before us. And all the discussion that we are having and are going to continue to have is only going to make it stronger and more precise.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it'll be right when we are married together with the housing committee on this. When this is our top priority, I think they will be thrilled, and we'll be thrilled to work together, because I think the ideas will just evolve as we start getting together. I think the ideas will evolve, and we'll see where we go. But I think there's some wonderful thoughts being brought out here, and that's good. And of course, our meetings are open to anybody that wants to join and publicized. Their meetings are open to anybody that wants to join and publicized. And so I think there's lots of opportunity for sharing. You know, even before we formally get together, there are opportunities a lot of opportunities anyway. So very cool. Excellent topic, because it's a hot, critical topic, housing. So I think it's great that we're starting our thoughts on it.
Wonderful. Now, may I be so bold? I'm not sure if we're there yet, but I know we're past our normal hour. Is it the time? Should I bring a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay!
Aye.
So cool. Well, thank you. You know, I love this kind of discussion, and it's wonderful to have a group of passionate people that want to do the right thing, and it's perfect. So we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
Yes.
So-
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you, Laura. And David, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to serve with all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. And thank you, Ashley, for bringing us all together.
Yes,
So-
Ashley, the silent atlas shouldering this whole thing.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, everybody, and we'll
right.
talk soon.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Mm-mm.